Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we're going to react to the worst NBA video game of all time. I've never played NBA Elite. The best way to get it is through emulation. For what I've heard, I need to get me a PS3 badly, so that way I can do my emulation. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this. This is the worst basketball game of all time. Because I want to play this for myself, bro. I want to play NBA Elite 11 for myself, bro. I played the demo. It was garbage. Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into this, though.
You already know how this story goes. Or do you? EA Sports had been the king of the basketball video game scene for years, thanks to their incredibly popular
PlayStation
NBA
2
Live
era,
series. But slowly, a new company, now
PlayStation
known
3
as 2K,
and above,
was gaining on EA. NBA 2K, thanks to its more sim-like gameplay and stronger attention to detail, was starting to overtake Live. One of 2K's top guys, Mike Wang, left 2K in 2009 to help EA develop NBA Live 10, allowing EA to stay relevant while 2K continued to become more and more popular. After a few years of mediocre games, NBA Live 10 was a great bounce back, and it's a game I'd call the last great NBA Live.
Because a 2K dev had to make that.
Returned to 2K, assuming he'd helped create a return to the aggressive competition of the early 2000s that resulted in so many classic sports games. But that's not what happened. EA decided to take a bold risk with NBA Live 11, first by changing the name to NBA Elite 11. Gameplay controls were completely redesigned, and the final game was too buggy and ended up getting cancelled. EA returned to creating NBA Live games, scrapping the name Elite, but could never recover, and today, NBA Live is basically dead. That's the story we all know. But what if I told you there was more to all of this? What if I told you NBA Elite 11 wasn't even that bad of a game, but instead a failed act of ambition? You see, up until today, few people actually knew. NBA Elite 11 never released in stores, and the few copies that somehow got into circulation go for at least $10,000.
But that's why you
Simply
get it for
a display
emulation.
poster of the game goes for $2,000. It was assumed that due to the new controls and the famous glitches, the game was trash. But was it actually? Thanks to modern day technology and emulation, we can finally see what NBA Elite 11 really was. In an old interview with former EA CEO John Riccitiello, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I'm going to try to pronounce it like that the rest of this video, you could actually understand what EA was thinking. In fact, the story behind NBA Elite 11 is almost admirable. How did everything go so wrong? This is the story behind the story of a game. NBA Elite 11 will forever live in infamy, but now we have more context. Now a more accurate depiction of the game can be formed. Was the game that killed itself, and eventually NBA Live, truly a killer?
We'll never know. I want to play it for myself, though,
NBA 2K
yo.
had been gaining on
I gotta tell y'all, bro, I really want to play this game for myself. I want to play NBA Elite 11 in its full capacity for myself. I have to get a PlayStation 3. I gotta jailbreak it. Then I gotta get the emulator and shit like that. Y'all already know how that shit go. Trust me, I'm working on it. I'm working on getting the PlayStation 3, so that way we can do it. It's gonna take some time though.
on EA's Live series for a while, but thankfully for EA, NBA Live 10 was a hit. But with 2K working hard on NBA 2K11, now with Mike Wang back in the building, EA had two options. Continue building upon Live 10's foundation, or try something ambitious, something crazy. The safe choice was to give Live 10 a roster update and some tweaks, yet they did the complete opposite. The development team in Canada came forward and they said, look, the way we're going to take 2K on is that we're going to fundamentally innovate, and we're going to essentially give you dual analog controls that give you an enormous amount of fidelity over the way you play the game. You can literally take the ball from left to right, drive to the basket, switch the ball to your left hand and do a left-handed dunk. And they showed me that gameplay and put the controller in my hand, and I said, this is about as much fun as I've ever had playing any sports game. That was the former CEO of EA, John Riccitiello, in an interview from 2010. They said, we're going to do this for next year, but it was a complete rewrite of the technology. It was an ambitious plan. So ambitious, in fact, that the team was scrambling to get the game finished on time. Their idea was actually pretty unique. The game's producer at the time had previously worked on NHL games, where using the sticks to control everything was the norm. Instead of calling this game NBA Live 11, they changed the name to Elite because EA said this was going to be a brand new game, not simply a follow-up to NBA Live 10. Fast forward to today, where NBA Live no longer exists, and EA Sports titles that do exist are anything but innovative. It's an interesting parallel, and it makes me wonder if the mistakes EA made with Elite 11 forever changed the company's development philosophy. Back in 2010, what EA was doing wasn't even that out of the ordinary. A few years back, EA had a baseball series called Triple Play Baseball, which they eventually rebranded to MVP Baseball, and after that, the series had great success. NBA Live, while an iconic name, had, despite the bounce back with Live 10, fallen off with the general sports gaming crowd. 2K was simply better at that point in time. EA figured if they wanted to stand a chance, they needed something fresh. We plan to profoundly evolve the interactive basketball experience in a way that the category has not seen for a decade, said Peter Moore, former president of EA Sports. In NBA Elite 11, we will introduce a gameplay experience that gives fans the control on the court that they have been begging for in a basketball game for years. NBA Elite 11 will give gamers the same skill set that a pro basketball player has at his disposal, the creative director of the game said. This is the first basketball simulation video game where you are controlling every movement, dribble move, shot, dunk, layup, steal, and block in real time with one-to-one control. You are no longer going to push a button and watch the computer generate a long animation sequence. It is like being on a basketball court with an amazing set of skills. This is going to change what people have come to expect from a basketball simulation video game. The game was heavily advertised and marketed, and people were interested. I vividly remember reading about the game's announcement back then, feeling excited for this new Elite series.
We all were.
Kevin Durant was on the cover. J. Cole helped create the soundtrack. EA added Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson as a new commentary team, along with accurate ESPN music and presentation elements. So what went wrong? Was this game actually the worst NBA game of all time? Upon playing NBA Elite 11 today in 2022, this isn't really a bad game. Is it unpolished? Yes, but the core game wasn't bad at all, and it's easy to see this game actually being good if the developers just had a bit more time to work with. Let's focus on gameplay, because that was the major change to the game from NBA Live 10 to Elite 11. Sticks controlled everything. And while I've heard this overcomplicated the gameplay for most articles about the game, I actually really like these controls. Future NBA 2K and Live titles would actually build upon what this game did. The left stick controls your player, and the right stick controls your dribbling and shooting. Those sticks control nearly the entire game. Instead of button presses and combinations, Elite 11 aimed to give users full control over their player, and the sticks actually work quite well for that. Shooting.
So from how I'm looking at it, as long as you don't flick it up, you won't end up shooting the ball. So if you flick it up, you're going to end up shooting the ball. But if you keep it below, you know what I'm saying, move it side to side, down, as long as you don't flick it upwards, you could. Okay, I'm looking at it, because I really want to play this, y'all. I really want to play this for myself.
Shooting was skill-based with a meter, and the goal was basically green lighting by releasing the ball in the green. Shooting was done by holding the right stick up, dunking was done by holding it up while driving to the basket. But you had so much control. While going for a dunk, you could move your stick to the left or right last second and switch to a layup, for example. This resulted in the ability to pull off moves that weren't yet possible in a video game, at least not with full control. Normally these would randomly play out as animations from a button press, but here you chose exactly what animation your player would use based on how you controlled him. Again, it was a much more skill-based game. These controls were actually pretty great, you just needed to spend some time practicing them. I'd imagine if this game released online, officially without the bugs, it would have been fantastic to play competitively. This wasn't a cheesy game like NBA Live 09 either. The AI was challenging and would test you. Too many dribble moves, watch as the CPU steals the ball. Try to go coast to coast with a big man? Good luck. If you want to make a tough shot, you need to hit a tough release. Unlike previous live games, Elite 11 gave you the ability to succeed or fail on your own. Animations weren't to blame. You and your own stick skills were. Game modes were pretty standard, with Dynasty feeling similar to Live 10's, but actual in-game action was so much better. The freedom to control your player fully is just so fun, and the presentation the game uses is fantastic. Be Legendary was a new career mode, something Live 10 didn't have, that would have rivaled NBA 2K's My Player mode. Upon checking it out, the mode is actually decently deep for 2010. The issue is that the game simply isn't finished. Glitches that should have been caught in quality control weren't, and in some cases it breaks the game. If you ignore them, however, this is a very solid base for an NBA video game. What I see is a rare example of a sports game that actually tried to do something ambitious. A game that tried to push the entire genre forward, yet because it failed, the game has been cemented as one of the worst ever. We should miss a failure of this magnitude and hope for it again, because the best progress comes from failure. The more you mess up in life, the less likely you are to repeat those mistakes in the future. The sooner you mess up in life, the better, because you'll learn valuable life lessons before most.
True.
Embrace failure. NBA Elite 11 is an example of EA running away from it. You can argue that they made the right call from a business perspective, but did they? Where is NBA Live today? If you don't give your developers the option to fail, they won't be able to take any risks. And that's how you get the soulless sports games we see today, that sell simply because of brand recognition, rather than because of the game itself. If you take the safest option out of a fear of failing, then you've already failed. I actually applaud EA Canada and their work on NBA Elite 11. Thank you for trying. Unfortunately, public perception and some bad press helped kill Elite 11, and eventually NBA Live itself. The infamous Jesus Bynum glitch was the start.
Yeah.
Then there was the hookshot glitch. More and more quality control issues showed up, all very close to launch. All of this simply from the free demo. It became well known that NBA Elite 11 was a buggy mess, and EA ended up canceling the game to salvage what was left of their basketball video game reputation. The team that worked super hard night and day trying to get Elite 11 to live up to their ambitions were basically cast aside as EA moved future development to Tiburon, the studio behind Madden. As Richie Tiello said, people admire game companies that take risks, but in retrospect, they only seem to admire game companies that take risks when the risks work. That's not a risk anymore if you only take risks that work. I think of it as like skiing. If you occasionally don't fall down, you're not trying hard enough. While NBA Live 18 and 19 weren't bad games, and even did some things better than 2K, they didn't sell that great, and we haven't had an NBA Live game since. After Elite 11, most people were done with EA basketball games. NBA 2K11 was arguably the greatest NBA video game ever made at that point.
That's the problem. They couldn't compete.
So why even care that Elite 11 was canceled after that?
That's the thing. NBA 2K11 was so good, it was like wive and bother. That's really what it was. Because 2K dropped one of the best games of that year. And NBA Live knew they couldn't compete, especially when you got fucking Michael Jordan on the cover. Of all the players, Michael Jordan is on the cover. All the Jordans are in the game. What can you do at that point?
Why even bother downloading NBA Live 13? Had NBA Elite 11 been finished, perhaps it would have been more polished, and even considered a pretty good game. EA could have continued making games with the Elite name for years, even today, in this alternate reality. Instead, today EA is a completely different company ran by completely different people. They stopped innovating in all of their sports games. The failure of NBA Elite 11 still stings, because the game really could have been something special. But instead, it was the catalyst that helped EA Sports regress into what it is today. Thanks for watching.
I mean, it's also the fact that they canceled the game, but then they stepped away and then they teased us with the NBA Live 13, and then they didn't bring it out. Instead, we're going to bring out NBA Live 14. Then you give us NBA Live 14, and it's just fucking NBA Elite 11, but with a more shinier, polished graphics and bullshit animations. Nah, bruh. They, at the end of the day, EA ruined their own reputation, bro. EA's reputation was ruined by them. They did not try to make a game that could compete with its competitor. NBA 2K was chucking along, bro. 2K7, 2K8, 2K9, then we got the 2K10. They bust out the My Career. Then 2K11. Michael Jordan comes back. The game is on a whole different level. 2K12, it's hit and miss. 2K13, okay. NBA Live 13, okay. Let's see what y'all gonna do. Nah, we ain't gonna pull out. We gonna pull out. We gonna put something out for the next generation consoles. And it's like, dog, y'all need to put something out now. They really dropped the ball on themselves. And then NBA Live 17, you canceled that. Talking about it was delayed. It was never delayed. It was canceled. NBA Live 20, we're delaying it. Nigga, it's 2023. The fuck is a delayed? I already knew it was canceled, bro. And the NBA Live community, y'all still owe me a fucking apology too. But anyways, though, that's just gonna do it for right now, man. I'll see you on the next video. Tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you till then. Peace out.